Traveling across Asia can be an exciting and eye-opening adventure. The continent is home to a rich variety of cultures, languages and traditions, each with its own unique beauty and complexity. From the bustling streets of Tokyo to the serene temples of Thailand, Asia offers a sensory feast for any traveler. These customs, passed down through generations, are woven into the fabric of everyday life in Asia. Understanding these cultural nuances can be the key to unlocking a truly enriching and meaningful travel experience. Today, we're going to explore 15 cultural differences you should be aware of to ensure that your trip is not only enjoyable, but also respectful of the people and places you visit. While a handshake or hug might be common in many Western cultures, in Asia, physical touch is often more reserved. In countries like Japan, China, and Indonesia, personal space is highly valued, and excessive physical contact can be seen as intrusive. In Japan, for instance, a bow is often preferred over a handshake, especially in formal situations. If you do shake hands, it's typically a light, brief gesture, and not a firm grip like in Western cultures. Physical touch between opposite genders, especially in public, is often avoided unless you're very close to the person. So remember, while you might feel comfortable with a hug or an enthusiastic handshake, always pay attention to body language and follow the lead of those around you. Observe how locals interact with each other and take your cues from them. By being mindful of these unspoken boundaries, you demonstrate respect for the local culture and create a more comfortable atmosphere for everyone. In many parts of Southeast Asia, like Thailand, Indonesia, and Malaysia, showing the soles of your feet is considered disrespectful. This includes sitting with your feet up on furniture or pointing your feet at people. In Thailand, for example, it's considered a serious faux pas to point your feet at someone or even at a Buddha statue. The feet are seen as the lowest part of the body, both physically and symbolically. Instead, sit cross-legged or with your feet flat on the floor when you're in public spaces, temples, or at someone's home. This simple act of mindfulness goes a long way in showing respect for local customs. Remember, traveling is not just about seeing new places, but also about understanding and respecting different ways of life. By being aware of these customs, you can ensure a more respectful and enriching travel experience. In countries like Japan, China, and South Korea, raising your voice in public or in a group setting is often perceived as a lack of self-control and can be seen as rude or even aggressive. Many Asian cultures value harmony, and being loud or confrontational goes against the principles of maintaining peace. So, keep your tone calm and your voice steady, especially in public places. Even in social settings, it's best to avoid shouting or speaking too loudly. Remember, a calm and measured demeanor is often seen as a sign of respect and good manners. Need to get someone's attention, try a gentle wave or a light tap on the shoulder. These subtle gestures are much more appropriate than raising your voice and will be better received. By being mindful of your volume and tone, you demonstrate respect for the cultural emphasis on harmony and peaceful coexistence. In Vietnam, Indonesia, and the Philippines, pointing with your finger at people or objects is considered impolite. In these cultures, pointing can be interpreted as rude, aggressive, or dismissive. Instead of pointing with your finger, which could be misconstrued as rude, try using your whole hand or gesturing with your chin. In Indonesia, for instance, it's customary to gesture with the thumb rather than the index finger. The subtle art of nonverbal communication is particularly important in Asian cultures. A simple change in hand gesture can convey respect and understanding. By adopting these respectful gestures, you not only avoid causing offense but also demonstrate a willingness to engage with the local culture on its own terms. Remember, your gestures speak volumes, so be mindful of how you communicate nonverbally. In many Asian cultures, particularly in India and Indonesia, the left hand is reserved for personal hygiene and is considered unclean. Using your left hand for greeting, handing over gifts, or accepting items can be seen as disrespectful. Always use your right hand when handing over anything to someone, whether it's a gift, money, or a simple handshake. And when dining, be mindful of how you use your hands, as the left hand should never be used to eat or serve food. This custom stems from a deep-rooted cultural belief system that associates the right hand with purity and respect. By adhering to this tradition, you demonstrate your understanding and respect for these cultural values. Remember, even the smallest actions can carry significant meaning in different cultures. In countries like Thailand, India, and Indonesia, Removing shoes before entering someone's home, temples, or sacred spaces is a sign of respect and cleanliness. Imagine stepping into a beautifully decorated Thai home, the air filled with the aroma of lemongrass and incense. Before you enter, you notice a collection of shoes neatly arranged by the door. This is your cue to remove your own shoes, a gesture that signifies leaving the dust and dirt of the outside world behind as you enter a place of peace and tranquility. When you visit temples or shrines in Thailand or Indonesia, always make sure to remove your shoes before entering. Not removing your shoes can be seen as disrespectful and even offensive. This custom is not merely about hygiene but about respecting the sanctity of these spaces. So, the next time you're about to step into a home temple or mosque, remember to pause and remove your shoes. In countries like India and Indonesia, public displays of affection, such as kissing or hugging, are generally frowned upon. These acts are considered private and should be kept behind closed doors. In Indonesia, for example, a kiss on the cheek might be acceptable among close friends, but doing it in public can make others uncomfortable. This cultural norm stems from a deep respect for modesty and privacy. By respecting these boundaries, you show sensitivity to local customs and avoid causing any unintentional offense. Always be mindful of the context, especially in more conservative areas. In cultures like Japan, South Korea, and China, maintaining too much direct eye contact, especially with elders or authority figures, can be seen as confrontational. In these cultures, modesty is key, and direct, prolonged eye contact may be interpreted as a challenge or a sign of disrespect. Instead, make brief eye contact, especially in formal or hierarchical settings. In Japan, for example, bowing slightly while averting your gaze shows humility and respect. This subtle gesture conveys deference and acknowledges the social hierarchy. Remember, the rules of eye contact can vary greatly from culture to culture. By being mindful of these cultural nuances, you can avoid misunderstandings and navigate social interactions with grace and respect. Talking openly about money is considered impolite in countries like Japan, South Korea, and China. Conversations around salaries, wealth, or financial status are generally kept private, especially in social settings. Asking about someone's salary or financial situation can make them uncomfortable. It's best to avoid discussing personal finances unless it's directly relevant or the person brings it up first. This cultural norm stems from a deep-rooted belief in humility and the importance of not drawing attention to one's wealth or social standing. Remember, what might seem like a harmless inquiry in one culture could be perceived as intrusive or even rude in another. By being mindful of these cultural norms, you can ensure more respectful and comfortable interactions. In places like Japan and China, it's common etiquette to remove your hat or cap when entering a building, especially a temple or a home. Keeping your head covered indoors, particularly in sacred spaces, is seen as disrespectful. This simple act acknowledges the sanctity of the space and shows reverence for the spiritual traditions associated with it. Always take your hat off when entering these spaces, even if it's a casual visit. By observing this custom, you demonstrate your understanding and respect for the cultural significance of these spaces. It's a small gesture that can go a long way in showing your cultural sensitivity. Remember, respecting local customs enhances your travel experience and fosters positive interactions. In China and Japan, giving certain types of gifts can be considered unlucky or inappropriate. For instance, gifting knives, scissors, or anything that can symbolize cutting or severing a relationship should be avoided. Instead, opt for more thoughtful, neutral gifts like flowers, tea, or traditional items that carry positive meaning in the local culture. A beautifully crafted tea set, for example, would be a much more appropriate and appreciated gift. These cultural beliefs reflect a deep-rooted understanding of symbolism and its impact on relationships. By being mindful of these cultural nuances, you can ensure that your gifts are well received and don't inadvertently cause offense. Thoughtful gift giving can strengthen relationships and show your respect for local traditions. In countries like China, Japan, South Korea, and Indonesia, elders are highly revered, and disrespecting them can deeply offend the local people. It's important to show your respect by offering them your seat, greeting them first, and listening attentively when they speak. In Korea, for example, younger people often bow to older individuals as a sign of respect, and in China, elders are given priority in any group setting. This reverence for elders stems from a belief that with age comes wisdom, experience, and a deeper understanding of life. Remember, showing respect for elders is not merely about good manners, it's about honoring the foundation upon which these societies are built. By respecting elders, you demonstrate your understanding and appreciation of these cultural values. In the Philippines and Thailand, there's a belief that pointing directly at the sun can bring bad luck. It's seen as a form of disrespect to the natural world and to the spirits that inhabit it. So, avoid pointing at the sun or gesturing towards it, especially in public places, as it can carry negative connotations. This belief highlights the deep connection that many Asian cultures have with the natural world and the spiritual realm. It's a reminder that we are part of something much larger than ourselves and that we should treat all living things with respect. By being mindful of these beliefs, you show respect for the cultural significance and avoid causing unintentional offense. In countries like China, Indonesia, and Vietnam, smoking in non-designated areas is not only inconsiderate but it's also illegal in many public spaces. Smoking in a crowded area or indoors can make people uncomfortable and lead to fines or public reprimands. Always look for designated smoking areas and be mindful of non-smoking zones, especially in indoor settings. This emphasis on designated smoking areas reflects a growing awareness of the health risks associated with secondhand smoke and a desire to create a more pleasant and healthy environment for everyone. By respecting these rules, you show consideration for the health and well-being of those around you. Remember, respecting local regulations enhances your travel experience and fosters positive interactions. In countries like India and Indonesia, displaying arrogance or a sense of superiority is one of the most disrespectful behaviors you can exhibit. In these cultures, humility is highly valued. When interacting with locals, show a genuine interest in their culture, avoid dominating conversations, and be open to learning from those around you. This emphasis on humility stems from a deep-rooted belief in the interconnectedness of all things and the importance of treating everyone with respect, regardless of their social standing or background. Remember, traveling is not just about ticking off destinations on a list, it's about opening your mind to new cultures, perspectives, and ways of life. By embracing humility, you enrich your travel experience and build meaningful connections. By being mindful of these cultural norms, you'll not only avoid unintentionally offending others, but you'll also gain a deeper understanding and appreciation for the diverse cultures that make Asia so unique. Remember, it's all about respect, humility, and learning from the places you visit. Embrace the opportunity to step outside your comfort zone, to challenge your assumptions, and to connect with people from all walks of life. Safe travels, and enjoy every moment of your adventure in Asia.